Kyrie just said some stuff. We'll get to it later. But
wait. Do we have to get to it like right now?
Yeah. Is it about email or what do you say?
No, it's just a scornful comment, but whatever.
No.
I want to hear it.
No.
All right.
I want to hear it right now.
That sounds better than praising email. Yeah.
Breaking news. Let's hear it.
Kyrie Irving on the booze in Boston. It's like a scorned girlfriend asking for an explanation why I left, but still wanting a text back.
We're in his head. You guys did it. Congratulations, guys. That's great.
Man, that's what the bitter.
You're the bitter one,
metaphor, right? Yeah, that's what the bitter one sounds like. If we're going with this metaphor still, like you sound more bitter than the other guy, but all right.
Bro, that's like like that girl was lucky to get out of that relationship because that must have been miserable. You know?
That's great.
That's like
great.
You got him. You got him, guys. Nice job, everybody. We got
like his.
Yeah, he acknowledged you. He acknowledged you. You got him.
That was his try at the John relationship analogy.
That was kind of the text back, I guess.
Yeah, that was his shot at the relationship analogy.
Well, listen, man. And again, almost everything about Kyrie Irving kind of comes back a little bit to the same thing, which is like acting like he's the only person who's ever experienced anything in the history of the world and talking to people like literally like he's enlightening them about something that they've never heard of before, you know, like I read this thing one time. It's like, we all know this, dude. Like, this is how sports works, like always and forever. There's nothing unique about your situation. You literally left the Celtics at the altar. You said you were going to marry them and you left. And you just ran off with someone else. They're going to hate you forever, and they have every reason to. And you earn it. You own it.
I love this comment.
He's blaming the victim. He's victim blaming.
You guys were dying. You guys were dying for this dude 2 years ago. No, we were questioning him 2 years ago. Like crazy. Like we've always been, you know, outside of that first seat, or the first 3-4 months when there was no Hayward and he was on a complete tear. Like, yeah, obviously we didn't. You know, we weren't going to say, oh, man, he might leave Boston. But 2 years ago, around that time, right before the very end of his tenure here, everybody was questioning Kyrie. I mean, we questioned if he even gave it his all in that series against the Bucks. Never mind after he eventually did make his decision and leave to Brooklyn.
Right.
Like, he was being questioned well before he made that decision, well before that.
And Jimmy and I can flat out say, among the few people on record back there, and we were at the Garden and we're talking about it, and we're looking around at people and we're like, nobody's going to say this, huh? They should absolutely trade Kyrie at the trade deadline. Like, this is over. This is over. This is over. You know, like, and they didn't. But anyway, back to Kyrie. Forget about that. This is the same. This is his problem. And this is a problem with a lot of those guys, like Kevin Durant. Like, yes, people are going to question when you leave the Golden State Warriors for something. When you join Golden State, people are going to say you took the easy way out. Yeah. Your job is to not care about that. It's not to make them think something else. Okay? They're going to think that because that's what everybody would think. Okay, you can't beat them, join them. You did it. Own it and love the fact that you won titles and move on. Okay, it shouldn't matter to you. With Kyrie, they're gonna hate you forever, and they probably have a right to because that's what fans do. Move on, dude. Right. You know, like it's not the fans that are wronging you here. That's how fans are. That's how they
are. Yeah. Just like they'll revere someone like Big Baby who helped win a championship.
Who sits in somebody else's seat?
Came off the bench, sat in someone's seat. We'll get into it later on. What happened? But what happened, John? You put it on the big screen, the crowd goes nuts. Like forever. It works the same way on the other side. When you're on the other side of things, exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can't make a girl go crazy and then be like, yeah, dude, she was crazy. Like you did that. She wasn't always crazy. You left her at the altar.
Everyone gets booed, guys. You get when you choose to leave a team. You get booed, and sometimes it stinks because sometimes those guys gave their all. We can go back to Johnny Damon, for example, was here with the Red Sox and, won a World Series and wanted to stay here and was literally begging for them to match a contract that was totally reasonable, and they didn't want him, and he left, and it really wasn't even his fault that he got booed, which I thought was wrong. Kyrie literally lied to you. Left, came back, stomped on the logo, told you to go F yourselves. You're going to get booed, dude. Like, it's
and then after all that, John, and then after all that saying, they need to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. It's like he keeps crapping on him. It's like, these guys are sensitive, man.
Yeah.
Don't step
Every time
on the
you-
logo.
Yeah, every time you
Yeah.
come
Oh,
here,
yeah.
it's something new that pissed them off, like pissed the fans off. What did you expect?
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone, and the reason why that doesn't quite line up as a good comparison is because nobody misses Kyrie that way. It's just like it's just fun to go
wronged
back.
you.
Exactly. We're
He wronged
thriving.
you.
We're thriving. We don't need you.
He came, he left, he quit on you, he left.
Yeah.
You know,
And not only that, there's still that
then
thing
he-
of like, oh, the
yeah.
kids don't get it, and the divide between
might
him
have been
and the
right on
younger
that,
guys in
actually.
the room. Well, still, now they're better than him. Well, at least Tatum is.
It doesn't
Brown,
even
whatever
matter,
you
Bobby,
debate it.
right? What matters is, like, let's say from a fan's perspective, you know, it's always that kind of you juggle between, you know, the victories and actually like liking a team. And people always harken back to like that Isaiah Thomas team and how likable they were. And when the Celtics were playing like crap this year, how unlikable they were. A team with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, even if they'd won some, would be pretty like, you think you'd get behind that? Like, yeah, some people would say, give me the W's, I'll get behind anything. But just generally speaking, mentally and just as a fan, you're probably in a better place because Kyrie Irving's not in your life on a day-to-day basis. So while it sucked that he did what he did, the Celtics and Celtics fans are probably better off with it because this isn't fun for anybody. He went to Brooklyn and within a year, everyone's like, oh man, he's calling out the kids right out of the gate, you know, and then all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden he just leaves in the middle of a season because he felt like taking a break and this stuff going on this year.
I forgot all about that.
He's just a
Been all over
pain
the
in the
place.
butt.
And it's always the outside, right? Like, it's never them. It's never the whole Harden scenario. And this is on Durant, Irving, Harden himself, Nash. They all sat there and were like, we don't hear all this noise. Wait, what reports? Then all of a sudden, days later, and they said right before the deadline there'd be no trade. And the trade happens. And so all of a sudden, it's like, oh, let's just keep walking here and keep moving forward and everything's fine. Even though we just played this game for 2 weeks, that there wasn't a fiasco inside the Nets locker room that led to one of the most shocking trades of all time. So there's always, and it's all every single person on this team. You hear it from Durant, you hear it from the coach, you hear it from Kyrie certainly. Always just blaming the outside. Oh, it's the media. Oh, it's all the talk. It's this and that. And it's never them. Even though through 2 years now, this super team hasn't come close. And they play the Durant foot game. Even Ime says it. And it always drives me crazy when Ime says, oh, if Durant's foot wasn't on the line. It's excuse after excuse after excuse.
And it's funny
at
because
some point, like, is anyone going to take accountability for anything? They got smashed by Giannis. Like, I think they think in their minds that they didn't lose to the Bucks. That it was just like some fluky thing, and they just lost because
it was close, man. But Giannis, we thought Giannis blew his knee apart. The fact that they had that upper hand there, you know, in that series because Giannis didn't look like he'd be right, and then he came back. He was a freaking hero. So, you know, that one was close. That was really close. That could have gone either way there. You don't know what happens after that, but you know, whatever. You lost. It's everything counts. You know, stepping on the line counts. It's just how it works. You know,
I just think it's funny because
it's quite literally a line. You know, you cross it. It's
can't cross. Yeah,
you cross it.
And they went to overtime and scored 2 points.
You got to make it behind
0 from Harden, 0 from Durant.
The rules are very clear.
Everyone forgets overtime. They went to overtime and scored.
If only the basket were an inch shorter. You're like, no, it's 10 feet everywhere. Regulation.
It's like the old Happy Gilmore. It's like, are these Nets regulation size or what?
They had overtime. They had 7 games.
Yeah. I'm just surprised Ime says it because he's the accountability guy. He's the one that's like, man, everyone's got to hold themselves accountable. But man, that line just ran away from Durant, man. It wasn't on him, you know. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Ime was actually talking on the radio pregame with Grandy about coaching Kyrie, and you know, pretty level-headed Ime stuff. He's interested in a lot of different stuff, and he was great to coach. But the one line you hear for everyone say he actually threw out there is that he's different. He's a different kind of guy, and Ime actually said that on the radio pregame. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, difference. What you say about somebody that you're like, what's this guy's deal? You just say, yeah, he's a little different. He's a little different.
Yeah.
And listen, we had the conversation bringing him back. Was it the right move? Was it the wrong move? It's probably helped them in spots, but at the same time, they have to deal with the situation now that's going to be on, off, on, off. It feels like. Now, maybe that changes. but I just never thought that was a good situation for a team to have. And since he's been back, they've just lost and lost and lost. They've had a lot of road games. They've lost those too. Durant getting hurt certainly kills, but we talk about Durant shooting more. Is this just going to be his team to carry on his back, taking 30 shots? Like, that was not the game he was supposed to play either. And at some point, you wonder if he's going to look at this situation too and be like, what am I doing here? Like, it's just like the Thunder again, where I'm carrying them and no one else here is helping me. Harden, Dodgetown.
It's not
he
because
was obviously frustrated with that. Because Durant doesn't want to. Durant doesn't want to take every shot in a game.
I know, but now you're discounting Kyrie Irving, who is, I mean, from a strictly talent perspective, a top 10 NBA player. I mean, Kyrie's game is effortless, and when he's out there, you can't pretend he's not also another superstar with you. So again, 2 superstars plus we think Simmons plus other players like Curry, and you get some decent efforts out of their bigs, coming in there.
Blake Griffin.
Strength. There, I don't think Durant's going to feel like he's on an island there. I think if Kyrie is forced to sit all games, or they play in a decisive game, or 1 or 2 decisive play-in games, and Kyrie's not available for those, and they lose, he's going to be pretty pissed, for sure. But, again, see how that situation plays out. 50% Kyrie is bad, for these guys. It's going to be impossible to get out of that play-in situation. Then who knows after that. Real quick, guys, mute yourselves. I have the Kyrie sound. I want to play it real quick just so we can hear it, so you guys can see it.
No, I think it's going to be like that. Well, I know it's going to be like that for the rest of my career coming in here. So, it's like the scoring girlfriend, just wants an explanation on why I left, but still hoping for, a text back. And I'm just like, yeah, it's fun while it lasted, and I think that's the relationship that makes it fun. But, the reality is that I'm just grateful for my time here in Boston. Everybody in the front office, everybody in that locker room treated me well. Still have lasting relationships in our league, that extend as a brotherhood for us. And, we still remain close. So to see the growth of a lot of guys that I play with on this team, and seeing this core group back together, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, JB, JT, and then I add Derek White, a few other guys, Rob Williams maturing. I was with these guys when they were pups. When JT just got drafted, JB was in his second year.
Break.
So, I just have mutual respect for them, and coming back in this environment, we know what it is, and I just got to lock in on the mission, stay focused, and not try to have too many conversations with the fans on the side when they call me out of my name. So,
honestly, I'm more offended by the second part.
The young guys.
Jimmy, you're still mute. You might be muted, Jimmy. I lost you.
Oh, my bad. I said I don't know what that last part meant, but I had no problem with that entire quote for the most part. I thought it was fair.
Look, it's fine. The first part, Kyrie, and a lot of people do this, is the king, but Kyrie is the king of the start with the insult, but then loop it into something that kind of absolves you of having said the thing that you said at the beginning. Even though he did sandwich it, he came back to it. So I applaud him for the attempted relationship analogy, but that's difficult stuff. So try to leave that to the pros. Number 2, I don't give me this "I'm your daddy" sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was with them when they were pups,
and I appreciate it. Leave that. You were not helpful. Okay. Right. You did not do anything to help them.
You literally left them.
You left them, and you crushed their spirits, and you continually reminded them, even though he might have been right about some of it, and even Tatum recently admitted it, but you don't get to preside. You don't get to preside over their progress. I'm sorry. You don't get that feather in your cap as the guy who was there at the beginning as they were growing, and you don't get to feel pride. I'm sorry. I take more offense to that than the first part.
Yeah, and you have to eat those boos, man. You gotta eat those boos every time, because they're not going to go away. Which it sounds like he acknowledges. I always say this too, like keep it respectful. Like if you're at the game, don't be a jerk, but you could still like be a fun fan and like try to get in these guys' heads a little bit without being disrespectful. So I think that's 99% of fans. There's always going to be one bad apple, and I don't care what city you're in, but I think for the most part, fans know where the line is.
Yeah.
And they should boo. Like we've been over that. It's it's just what happens when you do what he did, and it's an action reaction with him that he doesn't really seem to understand, or just fails to. Like he could have stayed and he would have been loved, but he left and now he's hated. So that's just kind of how it goes. And he's not the only one that has to go through it. That connects right to the Vax thing that I've talked about all year with him. Like he's not the only guy who had to go through that. Everybody on the Nets did. Everybody on the Knicks did. Everybody on the Warriors did. And this has just kind of become his thing. So
yeah, it is what it is. If they go down this year, he owns it. Whether you think he has a right or whether he does, fine. That's a choice, but it's a choice that he made that could sink the team. But with this stuff here, that's fine. I don't have a huge problem with any of it. But I don't love that whole, I don't love that whole, these are my boys sort of thing.
These guys are spreading their wings.
You kind of had an adversarial relationship, with some people here, and you can just own that. It didn't work. You were a star. They weren't stars yet. They wanted to be stars. The mix didn't work. That's that. It's done.
Yeah.
We lacked chemistry, okay? That's a fair thing to say. Relationships end because of that. We don't have to pick bad guys and good guys here. But it didn't work. So
timing is everything, right? In some relationships, timing just didn't work out.
They weren't ready.
Too bad. The Hayward thing. Who knows how that would have changed everything if he didn't break his leg.